So good morning, everybody, and welcome to collective worship for this Tuesday, the 5th of May. I'm Reverend Kat from St Matthew's Church in Burnley, and it is fantastic to be sharing with you in this short act of collective worship. As usual, when we begin collective worship, I'm going to say, "The Lord be with you." I invite you to respond, "and also with you." The Lord be with you, and also with you. So knowing that God is with us wherever we are, we light our candle, reminding us of the presence of Jesus, the light of the world. So we're just going to light our candle just here. Jesus is the light of the world, brighter than any darkness. So this morning, I wonder, what is your favourite game to play with friends or siblings? I know a lot of people are really missing their friends at the moment, but just think for a moment back to some happy times when you perhaps had friends over at your house, or you've been to their house, or perhaps you've just been playing around at the park. Think of a game that you really have enjoyed playing in the past. I wonder what it is that you're thinking of. I wonder if any of you said hide and seek. I really enjoy playing hide and seek myself. It's quite fun, and it's really good to try and find a good hiding place. But of course, hide and seek is fun for us. But can you imagine having to choose somewhere to, not just choose somewhere to hide, but being forced to find somewhere that you've got to hide, not for fun, but for your safety? And can you imagine having to hide somewhere, not for minutes, but for hours and maybe even days? Well, today we're thinking about another hero of the Christian faith. And today's hero is someone who helped people to hide for their own safety, not for a game, but in a really serious situation. And today's hero is called Corrie Ten Boom. I've got her book just here, and there's a photo of her on the front just there. And Corrie Ten Boom was born in 1892, which is a long time ago now. It's over 100 years ago. She was born in a country called Holland, which is in Europe, not too far from the UK. And Corrie was a watchmaker. In fact, she was the very first female licensed watchmaker in the whole of Holland. So I've got my watch there that I've just taken off. She would make watches, she'd mend watches, she'd sell watches. And also, Corrie really cared about the community. So she used to run a youth group, a Christian-based youth group, and teach skills and things to young girls. But then World War II began. And Corrie and her family realised that lots of people in their community were in great danger. Particularly, they realised that Jewish people were in great danger. So Corrie and her family created a special hiding place. And I'm going to try right now and show you a photograph of that hiding place that they created, because their house was above a shop. Lots of people could come in undetected, and this is a photograph of the hiding place that they created in Corrie's bedroom. It's like a wardrobe there, and Corrie is pointing through a tiny gap, and then they've taken some of the bricks out of the wall so that you can see where people would have stood just behind that false wall. Now, you could get about 6 people in there at one time, and so Corrie and her family quite often had 6 people living with them during the war, and they'd go in there and hide whenever people came round to look for them. But obviously there were many more people that needed help, so sometimes people would come and hide in the Ten Boom household for a short time, and then Corrie would go and help them find somewhere safe that they could stay for a longer time. So they helped lots and lots of people. It is estimated that Corrie and her family and her contacts helped 800 people in World War II. 800 people lived rather than being captured and hurt because of what Corrie Ten Boom and their family did, hiding people in that special hiding place in Corrie's bedroom above their watchmaker shop. Now, sadly, one day, about a year and a half before the war ended, Corrie and her family were discovered, they were arrested, and they were sent to a concentration camp. And really, really sadly, Corrie's father and her sister both died. But even in the concentration camp, in horrible conditions, in a prison, Corrie still tried to help people and still shared God's love with people. And not only that, but after the war, Corrie helped other people who had survived the concentration camps, like herself. And she also helped those who had assisted the Nazi forces. She travelled all over the world, and she taught about the importance of love and of forgiveness and of something we call reconciliation. Reconciliation is when people who were enemies and were separated, they come back together, they get to know each other again, learn each other's stories, and find a way of living and being alongside one and each other again. So Corrie had a couple of famous sayings. One of the things that Corrie Ten Boom said is that there is no pit so deep that God's love is not deeper still. So there is no pit so deep that God's love isn't even deeper. That's how amazing God's love is. No matter how dark or difficult a place we think we are in, God's love can get to that place and can get to us. And she also said that God will give us the love to forgive our enemies. And that's a really difficult thing to think about. People have hurt us. Corrie had lost people, her sister and her dad, and she'd seen people suffer, but she knew that God could help her to forgive people and to love people. So I just want you to think about Corrie Ten Boom and about her life, her story that I've just shared a tiny part with you about there. Have a think. Why do you think Corrie was so brave, risking her life to help others? Why do you think she did it? Have a little think. And also, if we think about in the Bible, Jesus does something called the Sermon on the Mount, and he tells lots of things to a big crowd of people. And one of the things that he says in that is, love your enemies and pray for those who hurt you. Love your enemies. Now that is what Corrie was able to do. Those people that had hurt her family and her friends, she was able to forgive them and love them. So just think for a minute, how do you think that Corrie Ten Boom was able to forgive people who had done awful and difficult things? Have a think about that today. Now, there is, of course, a special day coming up at the end of the week in the UK and in other places as well. It is VE Day. Now, VE Day stands for Victory in Europe Day, and it's when we remember and celebrate Nazi Germany surrendering in World War II. This wasn't the complete end of World War II because there was still some fighting going on with Japanese forces, but it was peace for many people in Europe. It was the end to a long and difficult time of conflict, and it was the kind of beginning of the end of the whole war. So on Friday, we will be remembering and celebrating peace coming, and we'll be remembering lots of courageous, lots of brave people who helped others and fought for others in World War II. So one of the people that I'm going to be remembering and celebrating on Friday is Corrie Ten Boom, who risked her own life to help people, and then after the war was over, worked for peace and for reconciliation, bringing people back together and helping them to learn to live together again. So we're going to say a short prayer together now. You might find it helpful to put your hands together and to close your eyes. Dear God, thank you for people like Corrie Ten Boom. Thank you for people who are brave enough to stand up for what is right. Help us to be brave enough to stand up to people who hurt others. Thank you for people who work for peace. Give us the love to be able to forgive those who hurt us, and help us all to live peacefully together. Amen. So thank you for watching this morning, and I hope that's given you some different things to think about today. You might want to do a little bit more research about Corrie Ten Boom and think about those heroes of faith and people who are brave and courageous for others. May they be an inspiration to you.